Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Vertical Reach podcast. This is where storytelling meets strategy. I'm Pauline Gray, and each week I sit down with the creators, innovators, and voices shaping the world of vertical storytelling. Let's tell stories that connect. We have with us today in the guest chair, Jennifer Cooper, fount of knowledge, master wisdom of all things vertical in all areas. She's really built her life around becoming I hate to say an encyclopedia, 'cause that's an old word.
Encyclopedia is a good word because it's hard to
Encyclopedia. Exactly. Encyclopedia of all things vertical. And Jen, I will let you describe the vertical world that you have immersed yourself in, and vertical drama love, and where things are now and where you're going.
Hi, yes. So my life has changed rather a lot this year. So as a context, I've been someone who's always looked for romance to watch on TV. So always wanted to look for romance. I was a bookseller for 18 years as well. So I kind of understand trends and what, people love to read. And I was there and Harry Potter came out and Twilight came out and everyone wanted sequels. I've run my own business for the past 6 years, sort of online business support. But because with that, I had some stuff going on in my life in May 20. I just couldn't focus on the romance that I had been watching. So I've been watching long form Korean and Chinese drama, which is an hour-long episodes, very good romances. I don't like dubbing, so I'm watching with subtitles, and these can be 16 to 40 episodes long, so you need quite a lot of time to immerse yourself and understand what's going on. I had a really stressful month, and I couldn't bring the adrenaline down enough to focus in on those. So I was doing what everyone does, which is how they find vertical dramas. Scrolling on social media, for me it was TikTok. An advert popped up. But because I knew Chinese dramas, I was like, oh, that's interesting. I kind of know that storyline, but they're filming it in the West with a Western cast. Let's watch that, which was You Belong With Me on Real Short. Followed that through, watched that, paid too much money, haven't left vertical dramas since. So yeah, I don't know, it's just a happy viewer. I was just watching them. As you watch them, it was really hard last year to find out any information about them because most don't even have credits at the end. I'm kind of recognising these actors. I can't tell who they are. Some of they seem to be filmed in some of the same places. You start recognising some of the mansions and swimming pools that people fall in.
Recognize that, yeah.
Exactly.
That staircase.
Exactly. And even a dress. I was like, I have seen that dress before. Is this the same dress or just someone had a deal? And I looked online, and at the time, the only thing you could really find was there was one Rolling Stone article, or the social media was generally the apps. And at the time, the main thing they were just putting out were, here's the free episodes, go to the app and download the rest. Or the kind of fan accounts were like, here's just photos of the actor. So I got bored over Christmas and thought, I'm just going to write some reviews. So just crashed on the internet. I'll set up an account. I'm just going to have fun writing some reviews. And then I thought, I'm just going to ask questions of how are these made? And am I right? These seem to be made quite fast. And it was that thing of when no one has been interested in your job and suddenly someone's interested. Because suddenly I had all these people in the industry in my DMs on Instagram going, well, I'm on set now. I can tell you how it works. This is how it's filmed. And everyone fell over themselves to tell me and inform me and basically be heard and have a voice on the internet. So it's all grown from that. So it's all because I really just started out first. And so we've gone from when I started, there are probably 2 or 3 other review accounts to every day now there's new ones setting up and people messaging me and asking for help. But because of my online business, I was always like, well, if I just write a review on Instagram, it's there and disappears. It's gone. So I was like, well, it needs a website. So I banged a website together, put that up. And then I think that's where it's really grown, because if you put in vertical drama now online, you crash into me. It's quite hard to avoid me. And it's basically because I was just there first. So I did the website and I ended up people were like, yeah, let's do interviews. And then Andre Pranilla, who's a fantastic actor, was like, well, just do it as a video interview. Like, why wouldn't you do that? And I was like, I don't want to do that. He's like, get over yourself, woman. Did it. And now I do YouTube, and the YouTube's there, and then it's just grown and grown. So I ran some awards in around February, March, because I was like, there don't seem to be any awards for this. Let's do some awards. So they were all fan awards. Fans nominated their favourites from 2024. It's fine, got about 1,000 nominations, which I thought, well, that's pretty good. Put it out to vote for the fans. It went crazy. We got 16,000 votes from all around the world. I mean, it
crashed
was
your website.
What? Yeah, it broke my laptop. My fan awards broke the old laptop. I think it was basically smoke coming out of it. So yeah, I did that, and then I was like, well, there should be some sort of meetup. looked at doing an in-person thing, but I'm in the UK and it's like, people aren't really going to come to the UK, and then you have to do security and accommodation and all that. But then I went, I could do online. So I did an online festival called VertFest, which was at the end of August, which brought together people from all around the world in the industry with different panels and then fans, and they could do online meet and greets. And yeah, it's just, there's never been a big plan. It's just naturally evolved, and it's gone from being a hobby to now this is my full-time job, which is bizarre.
Amazing.
And I could not have predicted, but it is now my full-time job.
Okay, so let me tease something else out, which I find is a recurring theme. It seems that this is a phenomenon about turning points in your life.
Yes.
Everyone I've spoken to has been at a crossroads, and the industry itself is at a crossroads. So I think it's very sort of a parallel track to where, everyone has, myself included, mind you, a little bit self-disclosure, not to pull the focus off you, but both my parents have Alzheimer's, and they live on the East Coast, and the past year and a half has been a shuttle to where I now have status on the airlines, which I never thought I have status on an airline ever.
Yeah, you were doing that a lot.
Yeah. So what I'm curious about is, for you, what about this sort of healing, transformative function that the verticals have played in your own journey? Only because it's a recurring theme that I'm finding, that there's something fundamentally transformative about this medium.
I don't think I would have put it there last year as for watching, when I was just a watcher.
Okay.
So I think for me, it was more, I can't find romantic comedies that I want to watch anywhere else. It's just Hollywood's not making them. I've over Hallmarked on Hallmark. I can't watch another pumpkin pie Christmas tree turn on. It's like, even I have reached a limit. So for me...
What about bakeries? What about a good bakery?
Yeah, no, I can't go to bakeries. No, I'm a bit over the bakery chef thing. So yeah, I think last year it wasn't. I think this year it is fair to say that. My business that I set up, that I ran myself, was when my children were in the UK, what we would call primary school, where the school day is a lot shorter, and you need to drop them off, you need to pick them up, and there's not really that much working time. So I ended up setting that up to suit myself, and then the other women that I employed were all mums like me, and it was very much, this is flexible working that works around the school day and other caring commitments. It was also supporting online business owners, very much things like nutrition and wellness and interior design. That landscape has very much changed this year in the UK, because most of the clients that we work with run nice to have stuff. So the businesses are nice things to pay for if you've got money. People don't have the money now in the UK.
Understood.
So it's harder for those businesses to then pay for people to support them. AI has come along. It is not as good as a human, but it does a lot of stuff that we could do. So for instance, we would build a website. You can press buttons now and AI will template most of a website for you. So that's coming. And then the third part is pretty much all the mums that I worked with were at a similar stage to me, of like, the kids are all now in the UK what we would call secondary school. They've got longer school days. They're self-sufficient. I can work more hours. So people were looking at moving more into permanent employment. So it's kind of, that's dovetailed with not seeing such a clear way of supporting people, because I like to be able to go, if I do this, it will make a difference. So we used to do a lot of social media. You used to be able to go, you could say to a client, we will do all this, you will definitely get more business. Because small business is really hard. It's like, we could do everything, I can't guarantee you'll get more business. And I don't like doing that. I want to be able to go, you'll definitely get more business.
ROI.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, just because there's not the market for a lot of these businesses. People don't have the money to spend on it. And then in vertical dramas, as soon as I started talking to people, it was very clear that, one, from everyone in the industry, this is providing much needed work that there is not anywhere else. So I was like, this is a massive news story. So I was starting to pitch into the papers here of like, this needs to be reported on, because all the news stories normally is like, everything's closing and there's no work. It's like, there is work here. So we got in the papers for that. Exactly. There's opportunities. And then also it became really clear it was a way I could help. So actually I could add some value, because I've provided, I think, a platform and a voice for both the industry and for fans. So for fans, a lot of it has been that they watch vertical dramas, but they don't know other people in their day-to-day life who do. And they like to have
So
someone to obviously talk to. So it's been able to bring
entertain.
people together. And then obviously it moves beyond that. There's a lot of these people, they end up close friends. Vertical Dramas was just the thing that brought them together. And again, for the industry, it was giving actors and actresses, directors, writers more of a voice. So actually they could get their opinions out there. They could have someone taking their work seriously and writing a review and treating it as a piece of art rather than just, it's just a cheesy little soap opera.
Okay.
So it also fulfilled what I look for, which is like, am I actually adding value and helping people here? And it became clearer that this is an area where, at least for the next few years, I can have an impact, and that all my other business, it's kind of, that was great, but has kind of naturally come to an end. So yeah, so this month now we've now swapped and I'm closing the other business and this is now full time. So yeah.
Amazing. Okay. So you're going full force. I love it.
I'm going full force. Yeah. As you said, I think my own journey has definitely dovetailed with sort of as Vertical Dramas have gone this year and kind of gone from being a sort of written off niche to now. I've just been talking to someone who's at Cannes for MIPCOM and is like, everyone there is talking Vertical Dramas and everyone wants in. So that's what's happened. That's the change that we've seen this year.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
So what do you feel is the core appeal of the vertical screen? Is it a question of the convenience of the phone, the simplicity of the plot, which is engaging, but yet not too deeply intense? Or what do you feel is that?
The first thing is the
addresses?
sheer ease of access. So, because people have said, is it a fad? Is it going to be like 3D TV or something? It's like, no, because everyone in the world has a phone. Everyone in the world spends more time with their phone than they do with anyone else. So the phone works. People are used to watching the vertical because of TikTok, Instagram Reels. It's weird for me now to turn it horizontal to watch something like Netflix. It also puts you closer into the action. So I think there is something about it makes it more intimate. The speed and the dopamine hit and the completism as well. So I've had a lot of TV series over the years, like particularly on Netflix, that I've invested in and then they cancel. And you're like, I watched a season, I got into it, gave up my time and it's cancelled. A big appeal of verticals is it's, 60 to 90 minutes, done. Move on with your life. Definitely the speed. People want to see good people overcome bad things. They need that drama. Everyone I talk to around the world, wherever they are, China, Australia, South America, Europe, agrees. World feels less safe. World feels less secure. They're worried about the future. And my understanding with media and art is that is when that story of good overcoming bad becomes more important. So, for instance, Marvel and Captain America that all came around during World War II. And I think it's that with Vertical Dramas. That's the appeal of them over something like Hallmark. People need to see good people overcoming bad. People want to see attractive people fall in love. So there's a massive crossover of basically romance readers and that book talk. All those people, they've not been served by mainstream media. They just want romance and it's been written off. So they're all coming over. And I think the final thing is just the sheer amount and the contactability of the stars. So if, for instance, you think of mainstream cinema, if you like Timothée Chalamet, you might get 1 or 2 projects a year to watch. In Vertical Dramas, if there's an actor you like, you may well have 5 new projects from an actor a month. That's how many can land because of the speed with which they're made and which they go out. And it also means once you find it, it's like you have so much to watch, you can binge. So I always think a similar audience is probably things like, Somewhere I Turned Pretty or Virgin River or Bridgerton on Netflix. Brilliant shows. But once you finish them, there's a really long wait for next season. Which, there's a joy of waiting. But in the meantime, what am I going to watch? Vertical Dramas, you don't have that problem. There is always something more to watch. And then finally, the other thing as well is at the moment, I don't think it will last, quite a lot of these actors and actresses are very accessible online. They're very active on socials. They will share what's going on behind the scenes. They will interact, particularly with my page. And fans love that because they feel part of a community. I don't know that that can last long term. But at the moment, that is definitely another appeal as well. You feel like you're in a gang and people want to belong. We all want to belong wherever we are in the world. We want to belong to something.
Yes.
So yeah, various reasons, but they're the key ones that I've worked out and identified.
I love that. What I've found in my interviews with people and podcasts is for everyone, there's this sort of universal phenomenon, what I'm starting to call the first day of school. And everyone's experienced it. No matter when you start, whether it's first grade or primary school or going to college or university, wherever you're going, the first day of school is real. Will people like me? Will I make friends? Will I fit in?
Yeah.
And I feel like in the vertical world now, it is on all levels, whether you're consulting like you do, whether you're an actor, whether you're myself, I'm a screenwriter, director, that it's the first day of school and everybody likes you.
Like that analogy. Yeah.
You know, everyone wants to get to know you. Everyone's curious about you. There are no clicks yet, you know? And so that's what I love about this area. To that point as well, there's a lot of conversation about what's going to happen next. And you really have your finger on the pulse more so than most. You actually have your finger on the, right? You're like right here,
Trying.
you know?
Yeah.
And I'm really curious, your insight, predictions, thoughts about as the Western landscape embraces verticals more, what sorts of plots, what sorts of narratives, what sorts of content. I have my own ideas. I think that, in my opinion, the core themes will stay the same. The basic tropes will stay the same, but they'll soften. What do you think?
So what we've had for probably past 18 months is that most of the storylines are coming from China and then being adapted. So some of that works, some of it culturally doesn't work. The goal now, still generally romances, but the goal now is to kind of try and westernize it. Particularly as now everyone's realised that probably the best way of doing that is to set up their own app. So all across America, there's going to be apps. The UK are putting together an app. You know, there's India have got one, Turkey are doing it, everyone's doing it. Because that way they make the money and that way they have the creative control over the scripts. So that is what's coming. There will be even more apps next year. There seems to be a divide with where the storylines are going. So one of the things people need to understand is that most of what's out there is made by tech companies. So it's not made by people coming from film and TV. The people at the top are tech companies, and they are looking at data, and they are looking at clicks, and they are looking at what works on a social media algorithm. Now, the problem with that is, as we know, social media can favour violence, sex, shock. So there is definitely a core of storylines which are going that way, kind of car crash, video nasty type stuff. People are watching them. I would never watch them. A lot of people don't like them. Actors don't like them, but people are watching them, and you have to accept that. And then the apps will be like, well, hey, this is making us money. We're going to make more of that. But at the same time, you also have some of the best and most inventive, like, creators in the world, talented writers in the world, writing, you know, rom-coms, mysteries and all sorts. And they're also there as well. So the quality on other ones is massively increasing. You are now seeing more Western writers coming through. So it's just the little things. Like there was one I was watching and it was just a dad and he was talking about two sons. But it's like, I don't understand how I've managed to raise like a Bezos and a Bozo. And just those sort of little lines like that are beginning to come through. So there's this big divide of what's happening. I personally believe that if they stay with the shock value, it won't last, it will burn out, and it just, it makes it harder for the industry to be taken seriously. Longer term, I think stuff will improve. I think it's a short-term thing. There'll probably still always be some, but I think it will get pushed aside as more Western voices come in. There's a lot that needs improving. Diversity is pretty much non-existent. Storylines beyond romance as well are not really there. The challenge is how to bring in new viewers. So all the viewers they've got at the moment are there generally because it's women who are looking for romance who haven't been able to find it elsewhere. Now, they have tried stuff like horror. Part of the problem is they haven't actually done a really good horror, but they've tried. But that's a bit of a jump for your existing audience to then go and watch horror.
Romance and horror.
Exactly. And then the other thing is, if you're already watching horror, you're quite well served because there's a lot of specialist horror streaming services. So why would you leave that to then go to something which is really just experimenting with the genre? So that's the real challenge they've got at the moment. Like, how do they serve the audience, expand a bit of what that audience watches and bring a new audience in? Because at the moment, it's not really a massive male audience there. The way to do that, I think, is going to be bringing in more things like crime and thriller and mystery. I think it will get there, but it's a big push. At the moment, the most success they're having is with YA, because they're thinking, okay, we market on social media, they're going to see those. So there's basically some boy love stories have done really well and gone viral, and that's brought in that kind of heartbreaker type audience. And there's quite a lot more just different YA stories that are working and bringing a new audience in. But that's the challenge, because the people who were here originally weren't getting content elsewhere. What you've now got to do is find more people like who aren't being served, and why would they come to verticals over something else?
Understood. To answer your question, how would there be a way to access a new pool of an audience? Because if everyone is pretty siloed in their preferences, do you then pull in a horror streamer specialty and then start making verticals?
I think that's what's going to happen. Yeah. So I think it will be more established ones will then add it as part of their roster of we make this, but we also make verticals. So in the UK, for instance, something that would work and bring in a lot more audience is if they lean more into comedy, because that is one of the UK things that they're best at, and that will bring people in. I also think there's a massive opportunity with using things like influencers as well, because they understand that vertical format. They have an audience, and they're the sort of people that might bring new people in. So I think there's opportunities there. I think as well, some of the bigger things I suspect they will look at existing like intellectual property they have and then create a vertical version of that. So you might have much more well-known TV characters, then there's some sort of spin-off that's a vertical thing. I think that's probably what will happen, but I'm slightly guessing here and just shooting out random ideas.
No, yeah. I love it.
Yeah.
So when you say it's an IP, like, 'cause I know Candy Jar, they have their own existing IP that they pull from, but which is written novels, novellas, that material. Are you saying that it'd be something sort of along the lines of a Netflix streaming show that already exists, and then maybe taking out like sort of a ancillary character from a Netflix show and then building a show around that supporting character?
I think it could be. I think that could be a way to go to transfer people over. I suspect people will be experimenting that. The other thing that's really interesting is a totally different angle, which is marketers are looking at this. So I know of brands that are commissioning vertical dramas, that this is the next level of selling, of we tell, for instance, I know True Religion are doing it. They've commissioned vertical drama to tell the True Religion lifestyle through that. So I also think you're going to have a really interesting, whether it'll work, who knows, but that's a really different approach to kind of marketing and then storytelling and finding a new way of connecting with an audience.
Definitely. Okay, so that'd be sort of situation, as I tease this out a bit, whereas the current business model is you watch up into the paywall and then you purchase a subscription or you purchase coins or whatever the monetization occurs after the paywall. For a brand now, what I envision is that you would watch the content, which would be narrative, and then have the opportunity to either purchase in-app, in vertical, that gene, that throw pillow if you're a home decor line, or you'd be watching the ad and buying, or there's so many different layers of interaction, but you're definitely entertaining the buyer and increasing brand loyalty, brand consistency, and curiosity, I'd say, around the brand. Like, I don't know if you saw, it wasn't the vertical format, but it was the Walmart Add to Heart campaign.
I'm going to plead UK-ness, sadly. Haven't seen that.
No, that's right.
You tell me.
Fair enough. But Add to Heart was a play on the words of add to cart. So Hallmark model, woman goes home for Christmas, falls in love with someone from the past. As you do the content, however, you can purchase that throw pillow. Show it shot in the Walmart store, that sort of thing. And so now I see this, now we're talking about this, in the vertical space. You might then curate a YA fan and then do a young adult brand, which maybe I'm not telling H&M what to do, or Mango, for the record, but I'm just saying, taking an example.
Pauline said it first. Please pay Pauline for the idea.
Brand strategy, lesson 101 for Pauline Gray in LA. To then take the Mango, take the H&M, do the vertical, have that person in the store shopping, maybe even have an influencer who already is an H&M influencer as the talent. They're bringing in their built-in audience from their socials. They may already be a go-to person for young adult content. Who knows? So then you're totally, pardon the pun, vertically integrated in the marketing space. My background is the advertising space. And so I'm just ideating this in real time, and I'm seeing definitely that has got to be the future, a future strain, because it's probably so easy to execute. Because one thing, we can talk about this a little bit too, you're talking about the speed and the efficiencies and the rapid turnarounds. And a lot of that, to my understanding, is mitigated around smaller budgets.
Yes, 100%.
So I would imagine that once you then have a larger budget, a brand size budget, you can then, the sky's the limit. So I'll ask you 2 more questions.
Go for it.
Okay. For someone who's looking to pivot into the space, who is at a turning point, or may not be at a turning point, but the whole field, the industry itself is at a turning point, what would be your career advice for an actor, writer, director who is looking to make a life transition into the vertical space?
Real advice. Learn as much as you can.
Okay.
So, okay, shameless plug. I have a lot of videos on my YouTube, which you can watch. There's director interviews, actor interviews, writer interviews. I would say go and look at that, because the speed is something you will need to adapt to. Particularly as an actor, there's quite a lot of specific techniques and things you'll have done before you'll have to throw out the window. Thing I've been told it's closest to soap opera. If you've done soap opera before or Bollywood, that's the speed you're working at. So you will have to throw out quite a lot of other training. Be prepared to take what you can and learn on set. So the people who've been successful in the space it's not brilliantly paid. And there are issues. I think we have to point that out. There's been that choice then at the beginning of like, I'm not doing this. This is cheesy. These are rubbish storylines. But then you're not acting. You're doing whatever your struggle job is. Or the people who've gone into the space and gone, do you know what? I'm going to take this because this means I am on set. I'm in front of camera. I'm practicing my craft. I am learning. I'm growing. I'm meeting people around me. Those are the people now who have done that time, who've worked through the really hard stuff, who are now in a position where they can move into directing, they can move into producing. So I think there's just go in with a real willingness to learn, and that you might be starting a bit lower, but you can build very, very fast here just because of the sheer speed. So one of the most rewarding things is when you finish a project, that will likely be out within less than 2 months. So you will instantly be able to watch back and go, that worked, that didn't work. That's how the audience has received it. If you compare that to traditional film and TV and how long it can be, and you might be totally cut out or it doesn't even make the screen.
Yep.
So I think that is one of the biggest things. If you're willing, you can learn it all super fast and accelerate. So that would be my big advice. Basically, be willing to learn, be willing to maybe go in, just give it a go, be open, and great things can happen.
Okay. Which is a good life lesson. That's a life hack you just shared with us, because I can't think of anything that doesn't apply to.
Yeah.
So it's excellent. And I'm curious as well, if you don't mind sharing.
No, go for it.
For your platform, 6 months down the road, 12 months down the road, 18 months down the road, where do you see yourself as Jennifer Cooper in the space, thought leader, speaker, expert? Where do you see yourself in those timeframes?
It's very hard to predict because everything moves so fast. So I can probably do about the next 6 months, because I ran the Fan Awards in February, March this year, and I will be running them again next year. So they'll be running between January and March.
Okay.
So that's going to be a hard job, because people are going to have to work out what to nominate. And I've got the easy bit, just organising the awards. I don't know how, as a viewer, you choose because of the sheer volume of content that's come out this year. So I know that will take up most of my time. And I think hopefully, again, will echo with other things I'm doing, which is to just try and give fans more of a voice and let people in the industry understand more what fans are looking for. Now, I don't speak for all fans, because naturally you end up with a slight echo chamber, but fans like me, who I would say are really into verticals and are big spenders, so are spending a lot, will have more than one app. I can definitely try and give an insight into that. I also want to continue giving as many people as possible a platform, so just an opportunity to speak out, and the best way I can do that is just by growing my own presence, because it means that then anyone who I give a platform to has a bigger reach. So that's my short-term things.
Watch this
There's a lot of
space.
very
I love
cool
it.
stuff coming, I think. I think that's the exciting thing. And it's not going anywhere. That's the thing I think that's really been established now this year. This is not a fad. These are here to stay. They are going to sit alongside other ways people consume media. So I would say you have got cinema, film, you've got TV. I'm going to include YouTube. A lot of people watch YouTube. My teenagers watch more on YouTube than anything else. Things like Twitch and gaming, and then verticals. And it's going to be different ways we all consume media. This one is here to stay. Hopefully, I think it will just continue to grow, give a lot more people opportunities and just a lot more exciting stories to be told, which for me as a viewer, I'd be very happy about because I just want more good stuff to watch.
Okay. So, Miss Jennifer Cooper, where can we find you? What is your YouTube link? What are your handles?
Right. So if people want to find me, Vertical Drama Love and Jen, mainly Jen. So mainly on Instagram, Vertical Drama Love. YouTube, just look up Vertical Drama Love. Website, just look up Vertical Drama Love. You will find me. I'm also quite active on LinkedIn, which is how Pauline and I connected. And that one, you look up Jen Cooper and Vertical Drama and you'll find me. Basically, if you put Vertical Drama Love in on a search bar on Google or other search engines are available, you will find me. I'm quite hard to avoid. So I will be there. There'll be some pink and you'll see me. So yeah, come say hi wherever you are. Would love to talk to you. I might even get myself on TikTok. All the young people keep telling me I need to be on there. So I look at it and I go, run away. But I might pull myself together and even be on TikTok next year.
One last question. When are you coming to America?
Well, this is exciting. So I have a head injury from an accident at work a few years ago.
Oh my gosh.
So I have to just manage my health. And I knew I could do short haul flights, but I was nervous about a long haul flight. But I managed to go to New York a few weeks ago because I thought that's a good test from the UK.
Just 6 hours?
Yeah, 6 hours. I was ill, but I was only ill for a day and then I was fine. So yes, I'm definitely going to America and planning to go to LA and other things as well are in the works. Again, watch this space. So yes, I will definitely be inflicting myself on America again. So I apologise in advance.
I love it. I love it. Well, I'm from New York. I'm from New York. I live in LA. I will catch you somewhere.
We'll manage on one of the coasts. Yeah.
Exactly. So, well, thank you so much. And give us your handles, your spaces one more time.
Just look up Vertical Drama Love and you will find me.
Perfect. And everything will be in the show notes. So thank you so much, Miss Jennifer. And we'll talk
you.
soon.
It's been a pleasure. Bye.
Thank you. Take care. All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Vertical Reach podcast. If you enjoyed the conversation, make sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. If it sparked something for you, please share it with a fellow storyteller. Until next time, let's tell stories that can.